Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Scale Podcast. I'm Suzie, and I'm very happy you decided to spend some time with us today.
And I'm Tom. Wherever you are right now, maybe at home, on your way to work, sitting in a cafe, or walking outside, we hope you can relax and enjoy this conversation.
Today's episode is a little different because our main goal is very simple. We want to help you train your ears and become more comfortable with real spoken English.
Yes, sometimes English learners understand a lot when they read, but when they hear people speaking, everything suddenly feels faster and more difficult.
Maybe you know the words, but you don't recognize them quickly enough when someone says them naturally.
Or perhaps you understand your teacher perfectly, but then you watch a movie, hear a conversation, or speak with someone in real life and think, wait, was that English?
I think many learners know that feeling. And actually, it doesn't mean your English is bad. Listening is a skill, and like every skill, it becomes stronger with practice.
Exactly. You train your ears in the same way that you train your body. One workout does not make you strong, and one English conversation does not suddenly make listening easy.
But if you listen regularly, something interesting starts to happen. Words that once sounded unclear slowly become familiar.
And eventually, you stop translating every sentence in your head. You begin to understand the meaning more directly.
So today, instead of giving you a long grammar lesson, Tom and I are simply going to talk.
We'll talk about everyday situations, listening problems, natural expressions, and some funny misunderstandings we have experienced.
And while we talk, your job is not to understand every single word.
That is important. Please don't panic if you miss something.
Imagine that you are sitting near two friends who are having a conversation. Listen to the general meaning and allow the language to come to you naturally.
Okay, Susie, I want to start with a question. Do you remember a time when you completely misunderstood something someone said?
Oh, absolutely. I have many examples, unfortunately.
Good. This should be entertaining.
I remember being in a noisy coffee shop with a friend. She asked me, "Do you want to sit outside?" But because there was music playing and people talking around us, I thought she said, "Do you want some cider?"
Those are very different questions.
Exactly. So I said, "No thanks, I'll just have coffee."
And she probably looked at you like you were having a completely different conversation.
She did. She said, "Susie, I asked if you wanted to sit outside."
What did you do?
I laughed and said, "Oh, yes, outside is fine." But that moment reminded me of something important. Even native speakers misunderstand each other.
Definitely. People sometimes imagine that native speakers hear every word perfectly, but we don't.
We use context all the time. If we miss one word, our brain tries to guess what probably came next.
And sometimes our brain guesses very badly.
Exactly. So if you are learning English and you misunderstand a sentence, don't immediately think, "My English is terrible."
Instead, stay in the conversation. Listen to what comes next. Often the next sentence gives you enough information to understand what you missed.
That is one of the biggest differences between reading and listening. When you read, you can stop.
You can look at a sentence for 20 seconds if you want.
You can go backward, check a word, read it again, and think carefully about the grammar.
But real conversations keep moving.
Exactly. Someone says something, and 2 seconds later, they're already saying something else.
That can make learners nervous because they're still thinking about sentence number 1 while the speaker is already on sentence number 4.
I call that the listening traffic jam.
The listening traffic jam?
Yes, one unknown word stops everything behind it.
I actually like that description. You hear one word you don't know and your brain says, "Stop, we need to investigate this immediately."
Meanwhile, the conversation continues without you.
So how do we avoid that?
I think one useful habit is learning to let words go.
That sounds strange because learners usually think they should catch every word.
But sometimes missing one word is completely fine. Imagine someone says, "Yesterday I went to the market and bought some vegetables because I wanted to make soup."
If you don't understand the word vegetables, you can still understand that the person went shopping and wanted to make soup.
Exactly. The sentence is not destroyed because one piece is missing.
This is something learners can practice intentionally. Instead of stopping mentally when something is unclear, keep listening for the next idea.
Another thing that makes real English difficult is that people don't always pronounce words separately.
Yes, in textbooks, you might imagine a sentence as 5 clean words with little spaces between them.
But spoken English doesn't really have spaces.
Words connect together, sounds become weaker, and sometimes parts of words almost disappear.
For example, "What are you doing?" can sound much faster and smoother in everyday conversation.
And "do you want to go" might sound very different when someone says it quickly.
This is why listening to natural English is so useful. Your ears need experience with the sound of connected speech.
And I think repetition helps a lot.
Definitely. Some learners think listening to the same thing twice is cheating.
It is not cheating.
Not at all. Actually, listening again can be one of the best exercises.
The first time you can focus on the general idea.
The second time, you begin to notice expressions or details you missed.
And if you listen a third time, you might notice pronunciation, rhythm, or how words connect.
This is also where shadowing can be useful.
Let's explain that word because some listeners may not know it.
Shadowing is when you listen to a speaker and repeat what they say, usually just after them or almost at the same time.
You are like their language shadow.
Exactly. And the goal is not only to copy the words, you try to copy the rhythm, stress, speed, and feeling too.
I remember trying shadowing with another language years ago, and at first I felt ridiculous.
Why?
Because the recording was much faster than me. The speaker finished the sentence, and I was still somewhere in the middle trying to survive.
That sounds familiar.
But after repeating the same short section several times, I could suddenly follow it much better.
And that shows something important. Your ears and your mouth can learn together.
When you practice saying a phrase naturally, it often becomes easier to recognize that phrase when another person says it.
Let's give our listeners a simple example.
Okay.
Imagine you hear the sentence, "I didn't really feel like going out."
That is a very common natural expression.
"I didn't feel like" means you didn't want to do something at that moment.
For example, I didn't feel like cooking, so I ordered dinner.
Or, "I was tired, so I didn't feel like talking."
And notice that native speakers usually don't pronounce every word with equal strength.
Right. Some words are stronger because they carry the main meaning, while other words become softer.
This rhythm is one reason English can sound fast even when the speaker is not actually speaking extremely quickly.
And there is another interesting problem. Sometimes learners know a word on paper, but have never really learned its sound.
Oh yes, you can read a word 50 times and still not recognize it when someone says it.
I experienced that when learning languages too. I would hear a word and think, I have absolutely no idea what that means.
Then you see it written down and say, "Of course I know that word."
Exactly. It feels almost unfair.
But that is why listening practice needs to be part of language learning from the beginning.
Your vocabulary should not only live in your eyes, it needs to live in your ears too.
I like that. And there is one more thing I think learners should become comfortable with: uncertainty.
Yes, real communication includes uncertainty. Sometimes you understand 90%, sometimes 70%, sometimes much less.
But you can still communicate.
Think about conversations in your own language. You might be in a busy station, someone speaks quietly, a car passes outside, or you simply lose concentration for a second.
You don't normally say, "The entire conversation has failed." No. You ask, "Sorry, what did you say?" Or you use the rest of the conversation to understand.
English works the same way. And actually, asking someone to repeat themselves is a normal communication skill.
You can say, "Sorry, could you say that again?" Or, "Sorry, I didn't catch that."
I didn't catch that is a very useful expression. It simply means you didn't hear or understand what the person said.
You can also say, "What do you mean?" when you heard the words but you are not sure about the meaning.
These little expressions give you time and keep the conversation moving.
And the more real English you listen to, the less frightening these moments become, because your goal changes.
Instead of trying to hear everything perfectly, you start trying to understand people.
And those are not exactly the same thing.
No, they aren't. Understanding a conversation is about following ideas, emotions, context, and important information.
Which means your ears are doing more than recognizing vocabulary. They are learning how English actually moves from one thought to another.
Another thing your ears need to learn is that real conversations are not always neat and perfect. People pause, change their ideas, repeat themselves, and sometimes start a sentence without knowing exactly how they will finish it.
Yes, and that can surprise learners because textbook conversations are usually very organized.
In real life, someone might say, I was going to, well, actually, I decided not to go.
Or, the restaurant was, how can I say it? It was okay, but I probably wouldn't go there again.
Those little pauses are completely natural. They give us time to think.
And we also use small words and expressions while thinking, like, well, actually, I mean, and you know.
These expressions don't always carry important information, but they are part of the rhythm of natural conversation.
Suzie, do you think learners should use expressions like that too?
Yes, but naturally. You don't need to put you know into every sentence.
Please don't. You might sound like you were trying to win a you-know competition.
Exactly. But expressions like well can give you a little thinking time. Imagine someone asks, would you ever move to another country?
You could answer, well, I've thought about it, but I'm not sure.
That sounds more natural than feeling you must answer immediately with a perfect sentence.
And learning these expressions through listening is useful because you hear how people actually use them.
This brings us to an important question. What should you listen to if you want to improve?
I think the best answer is something you can mostly understand, but that still challenges you a little.
Exactly. If you understand almost nothing, you may become frustrated.
But if you understand absolutely everything without effort, your ears may not be learning very much.
So you want a comfortable challenge.
I like that phrase. Not a listening nightmare, just a comfortable challenge.
Podcasts are useful because you can listen while doing simple activities.
For example, while walking, cleaning your room, making breakfast, or traveling to work.
But sometimes focused listening is important too.
What do you mean by focused listening?
Instead of having English quietly playing in the background, you give it your full attention for a short period.
Maybe 10 or 15 minutes?
Exactly. You listen carefully and ask yourself questions. What are they talking about? What words are repeated? What expressions sound useful?
I think that is more effective than playing English for 3 hours while thinking about something completely different.
Definitely. Background listening can help you become familiar with the sound of English, but attention makes a big difference.
Let's imagine someone listening to us wants to create a simple routine.
Okay, maybe they have 20 minutes a day?
I would spend the first few minutes listening without stopping.
Good. Just follow the conversation and understand as much as possible.
Then I would listen to a short section again.
And this time, notice 2 or 3 useful phrases.
Not 20 phrases?
No. Please don't turn a relaxing podcast into a vocabulary emergency.
Fair enough.
2 or 3 useful expressions are enough. Then you can repeat them out loud.
And maybe create your own examples.
Exactly. If you hear, I'm looking forward to the weekend, you can make another sentence like, I'm looking forward to my holiday.
That way, you are not only remembering the phrase, you are making it personal.
Personal examples are often easier to remember because they connect English to your real life.
I used to make a mistake when learning vocabulary. I collected huge lists of words.
How huge?
Very huge. Beautiful notebooks full of words that I almost never used.
So the notebook was improving, but you weren't.
Exactly. My notebook had an excellent vocabulary.
That is actually a common problem. Learning a word is more than writing its translation.
You need to meet it several times, hear it in different situations, and eventually use it yourself.
This is why repeated listening can be powerful. A common phrase may appear again and again, until one day it feels completely normal.
And that feeling is important. You stop thinking, what does this expression mean? You simply understand it.
That is what we want to build, faster recognition.
There is also something psychological about listening.
Definitely. Your confidence can change how well you listen.
If you begin a conversation thinking, I won't understand anything, every unfamiliar sound feels like proof that you were right.
But if you think, I probably won't understand everything, but I can follow the main idea, you listen differently.
You become curious instead of afraid.
And curiosity is much more useful for learning.
I remember talking to an English learner who told me she was afraid of phone calls.
Phone calls can be difficult because you cannot see the other person's face.
Exactly. She said face-to-face conversations were easier because she could use facial expressions and gestures.
That makes sense. When we communicate, we use much more than words.
So she started practicing with short phone conversations. At first, she prepared a few useful sentences before calling.
Things like, could you repeat that please? And let me make sure I understood.
Yes, and after several weeks, she noticed that phone calls were becoming less stressful.
Not because everyone suddenly started speaking slowly.
Unfortunately, the world did not change its speaking speed for her.
Her ears changed.
And her confidence changed too.
That is a great example of why regular exposure matters. Exposure simply means having contact with something.
So, daily English exposure means hearing or using English regularly.
And it doesn't need to be an hour every day.
10 focused minutes every day can be more useful than 2 hours once every few weeks.
Consistency teaches your brain that English is not a special event.
It becomes part of normal life.
You can even change small parts of your environment. Listen to English while preparing coffee. Watch a short interview during lunch. Think in English while walking.
I like the thinking exercise. You can describe what you see around you.
Yes, there's a man waiting for the bus. 2 people are talking. It looks like it might rain.
Very simple language, but very useful.
And if you don't know a word, you can explain the idea using words you already know.
That is an important communication skill. You don't always need the perfect word.
Suppose you forget the word umbrella.
You could say the thing you use when it rains.
Exactly. Maybe it isn't elegant, but communication continues.
And continuing is often more important than being perfect.
The same principle works in listening. You don't need every word if you can follow the message.
Let's try a small mental exercise. Imagine you are listening to 2 coworkers talking. You hear the words meeting, Friday, changed, and afternoon.
Even if you miss several words between them, you can probably guess that a meeting time changed. Your brain uses key words and context to build meaning.
Native speakers do this automatically, especially in noisy places.
So guessing from context is not a bad habit. It is part of real listening.
Of course, sometimes your guess will be wrong.
Like your coffee shop and the mysterious cider.
I knew you would bring that back.
I couldn't resist.
But even mistakes are useful because they teach your ears to pay attention to differences in sound.
And over time, something that once sounded like one long stream of noise begins to separate into familiar phrases.
You start hearing groups of words instead of individual sounds.
Phrases like, at the end of the day, as far as I know, or it depends on, begin to arrive in your mind as complete pieces.
And when that happens, listening becomes faster because your brain is no longer building every sentence one word at a time.
It begins recognizing patterns, predicting what may come next, and following the speaker's meaning with much less effort. And this ability to recognize patterns is one of the biggest signs that your listening is improving, even if you don't notice the change immediately.
Yes, because progress in listening can be quiet. You practice for weeks and think nothing is happening, and then one day you understand a conversation that would have been difficult before.
I love those moments. Maybe you watch a video and suddenly realize, wait, I understood that without subtitles.
Or someone asks you a question in English and you answer naturally before translating it in your head.
That is a wonderful feeling because English starts becoming something you experience directly.
But since you mentioned subtitles, Susie, we should talk about them. Are subtitles good or bad for listening practice?
I think they can be very useful, but it depends on how you use them.
So watching everything with subtitles forever may not be the best strategy?
Probably not. If your eyes are doing all the work, your ears can become a little lazy.
That happens to me. If subtitles are on the screen, I automatically read them.
Me too. It is difficult not to read words when they are directly in front of you.
So what would you recommend?
For a short piece of audio or video, I like 3 steps. First, listen without subtitles and try to understand the main idea.
No stopping every 5 seconds?
No, give your ears a real chance first.
Okay, what comes next?
Then, listen again with English subtitles or a transcript. Check the parts that were difficult.
And the third step?
Listen one more time without reading. Very often, the audio sounds much clearer because your brain now knows what to expect.
I think learners can be surprised by how different that third listen feels.
Definitely. A sentence that sounded impossible 5 minutes earlier can suddenly sound obvious.
That is evidence that your ears can learn quickly when you give them focused repetition.
There's another habit I want to discuss, changing the playback speed.
Ah, the famous speed button.
Some learners slow everything down because normal English feels too fast.
Is that a problem?
Not necessarily. Slower audio can help you study a difficult section, but eventually you need experience with normal speed too.
Because real people don't usually have a button on their forehead that says 0.75 speed.
Unfortunately not. That would make some conversations easier.
So perhaps use slower speed as a temporary tool, not as a permanent home.
Exactly. You can slow something down to notice the words, then return to normal speed and listen again.
And don't forget that different people naturally speak at different speeds.
Yes, and they have different accents, voices, pronunciation habits, and ways of expressing themselves.
That is why it helps to listen to more than one speaker.
If you only listen to one person for months, you may become very comfortable with that voice, but struggle when someone new speaks.
So variety helps your ears become flexible.
You can listen to men and women, younger and older speakers, interviews, conversations, stories, and podcasts about different subjects.
But I would add variety slowly. You don't need to understand every English accent in the world this week.
Please don't make that your weekend plan.
Saturday morning, master every English accent.
Saturday afternoon, become completely fluent.
Sunday, rest.
At least Sunday sounds realistic.
This connects to something we have repeated throughout this conversation. Consistency is more useful than extreme effort.
Yes, language learning is usually a long process, so your routine needs to fit your real life.
If your plan is too difficult, you might follow it for 3 days and then stop.
A smaller routine that you can continue for months is often much stronger.
So let's create a simple listening challenge for everyone.
I like that. What should we do?
For the next 7 days, listen to at least 10 minutes of English every day.
Choose something that is interesting and mostly understandable.
On the first listen, focus only on meaning.
Ask yourself, what is this conversation mainly about?
Then choose one short part and listen again more carefully.
Notice one useful phrase. Just one is enough.
Repeat that phrase several times and try to copy the speaker's rhythm.
Then create your own sentence with it.
That entire exercise can be short, but if you repeat it regularly, you are training several skills together.
Listening, pronunciation, vocabulary, speaking, and confidence.
And please remember that some days will feel easier than others.
That is normal. Your concentration changes, the topic changes, the speaker changes, your energy changes.
A difficult listening day does not mean you suddenly lost your English.
Exactly. Maybe you are tired, distracted, or listening to a topic with unfamiliar vocabulary.
Instead of judging yourself, notice what made the listening difficult.
That turns frustration into useful information.
Before we finish, let's review a few expressions from our conversation that you can start noticing in real English.
The first one is, I didn't catch that. It means you didn't hear or understand what someone said.
For example, sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you say it again?
Another useful expression is, I don't feel like it.
This means you don't want to do something at that moment. For example, I don't feel like going out tonight.
We also used looking forward to.
If you are looking forward to something, you feel happy or excited about something that will happen in the future.
You might say, I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Or, I'm looking forward to seeing my friends.
Another useful phrase is, as far as I know. You use it when something is true according to the information you currently have.
For example, as far as I know, the meeting is still at 3.
And we mentioned it depends, which is incredibly useful in everyday conversation.
If someone asks, do you like working from home? You might say, it depends. Some days I love it, but sometimes I miss being around people.
These phrases are useful because native speakers use them as complete patterns.
And the more often you hear these patterns, the less work your brain needs to do to understand them.
That is why we encourage you to listen for phrases, not only individual vocabulary words.
Before we say goodbye, think about your own English listening experience.
What is most difficult for you right now? Is it speed, pronunciation, accents, vocabulary, or understanding connected speech?
And what is one small habit you could start this week to train your ears?
Maybe 10 minutes of podcast listening during breakfast.
Maybe watching a short English video twice instead of watching 10 different videos once.
Maybe shadowing 1 minute of conversation every evening.
Or perhaps having one short conversation in English each week, even if you feel nervous.
Choose something realistic enough that you can actually continue.
Because listening is not a talent that some people have and others don't.
It is a skill that develops through contact, attention, repetition, and time.
And you have already practiced that skill simply by staying with this conversation.
If there were moments when you didn't understand everything, that is completely normal. Keep listening and notice how much easier familiar English becomes over time.
You can even return to this episode later and see whether you understand more the second time.
And here's our question of the day. What is the most difficult part of understanding real spoken English for you?
You can answer with a simple sentence such as, the hardest part for me is understanding fast speech.
Or, I find different accents difficult, but I'm practicing every day.
Saying or writing your answer is another small opportunity to use English actively.
Thank you for spending this time with us on English Scale Podcast. We hope this conversation helped you relax, listen, and become a little more comfortable with natural English.
Remember, you do not need to understand every word to understand a conversation.
Keep listening to regular English, keep noticing useful phrases, and don't be afraid to listen to the same thing more than once.
Small practice becomes experience, and experience slowly becomes confidence.
If you enjoyed practicing with us, subscribe to English Scale Podcast, share the episode with another English learner, and keep making English part of your everyday life.
Keep listening, keep speaking, and keep training your ears. We'll see you again on English Scale Podcast.